Welcome to today's webinar presentation, Tips for Ordering Employment Verifications. I am David Graves of GroupOne Background Screening. I am the sales representative and your HR consultant for all things background screening at GroupOne. I'm here today with Steve Fischer, GroupOne's Operation Analyst, or as I like to say, our guru of all things technical. Now, Steve has been with GroupOne over 15 years now, and he knows the GroupOne system inside and out. And it's our honor today to have Steve with us as our resident expert. Thank you, Steve, for being with us today.
Well, thank you, David, and I'm excited about today's topic. I think this is an important topic with some simple concepts to help save time and money for our clients.
Well, I'm excited about our topic today, too, because I really do believe that this is going to be highly educational and save our clients massive amounts of stress, time, and money when it comes to ordering employment verifications. And on top of that, I just think that it's going to bring a lot of ease to the whole process of ordering employment verifications. So without further ado, let's begin. However, before we begin, I do want to preface this webinar by saying we are not attorneys. At least I'm not an attorney. Steve, are you an attorney?
I'm not yet.
Not attorneys. The information and the opinions expressed are for educational purposes only and based on current practice, industry-related knowledge, and business expertise. The information shall not be construed as legal advice, express, or implied. You should consult your legal counsel when it comes to background screening and compliance issues. Now, that was all the big statement that I had to tell you. Because basically we aren't legal authorities, but please consult your attorneys when it comes to legal things. But we do hope the information that we provide today will be helpful in helping you to modify your processes and give you better insight into ordering efficiently employment verifications. And by the way, we will be taking questions at the end of today's presentation. So if you have any questions, please hang on to them, or actually you can insert your questions in the screen there. There should be a section there where you can submit the questions. And then at the end of today's presentation, we will go ahead and answer those questions. So before we get going here, I want to start out and give you kind of an overview of some of the ordering tips for employment verifications. And before we get to any of those tips, the first tip that I have for you is know exactly why you need to have an employment verification. This is going to save you a ton of time right off the bat, because if you go into ordering background checks and ordering employment verifications or education verifications and you really don't have a plan in mind of where you're going, you're going to waste a lot of time. So know ahead of time why you need an employment verification. Why is it important that you get a person's employment verification? Well, the answer to that question is you really want to ensure that you know the candidate's credentials are accurate and that they actually have this experience and the skills they claim to have. Otherwise, you really, at the end of the day, you're going to mitigate your risk of hiring somebody based on false credentials and inaccurate work history. Job descriptions. This will save you a ton of time as well, by knowing and having your job descriptions up to date with the exact requirements of the positions. Now, keep in mind, not all job positions are the same, and since not all job positions are the same, they don't always require the same type of a background check. Some of your positions might only need to know the criminal aspects. Others, you're going to want to know a full employment history for that job, but know ahead of time what your job description is going to dictate, and because that will dictate exactly what you need. Steve's going to talk a lot about this here in just a moment, but define and know the policies ahead of time before hiring. Many of you already when you pull your criminal background checks, you already know ahead of time. You've set policies in place already, and you know what to do if you see a felony pop up on somebody's background check, or maybe a DWI pops up on a background check. You know exactly what is allowable or not allowable as far as who you can hire at your company. Same thing with education. You know for that particular position, you need to have a bachelor's degree, or maybe a master's degree is required, or maybe high school education is acceptable and okay, but ahead of time, you know all of these things. Well, in the same way, you really need to understand the same thing for your employment verifications. How much history do you need to know about a person? Do you need a 7-year history of a candidate, or maybe you need a 10-year history? Or maybe you just need to know what the previous position or current position is that the employee is working currently, and that's enough for this position. But knowing these things ahead of time really will save you a lot of time in the long run. Right, Steve?
That's right. Good point.
All right. Well, I'm going to let Steve kind of cover and talk a little bit about some of the other ways that it practically can save you time inside the GroupOne system.
Well, thank you, David. Again, the main point of today's call is to help our clients, and I take all of this from kind of an analytical perspective. That's my position here. So I want to make the candidate experience easier and help the candidate to help you, the client, and in the long run, help GroupOne so that we provide you better value and faster turnaround time. And it's quite simple to do. If you follow David's lead here and you establish, or if you already have a policy in place about your employment verification needs, then we can help you to customize the applicant experience and help you control your costs. Now, as we all know these days, the most expensive part of a background check tends to be the employment verifications. And then if you don't have a policy in place, you don't establish some parameters, then it's easy for those to run out of control. The more employment verifications you run, the more time it takes to review the background check, the more time it takes researchers to go out and figure out what you're talking about, who these employers are, when you were employed, all that kind of stuff. But if you tighten up and kind of customize the applicant experience, you can make this work very efficiently and save you money. Now, when I say it's the most expensive part of a background check, it can be if you just leave it wide open. We find that about 90% of our clients now use our what we call the applicant quick invite process, or they have an integrated ATS system that also uses our applicant portal system. So this is important because now most people are letting the applicant provide the information, whether it came from a parsed out resume or the applicant goes in and enters their own jobs and education and what have you. We need to kind of control that applicant a little bit so we can customize that applicant experience. On the screen right now, you see the first screen that an applicant comes to when you're using the applicant quick invite process, or your ATS is integrated with our system. The applicant's always going to get an email needing something. We either need their job information, we need them to review their job information, we need them to add jobs, education, what have you. This is where the policies for employment verification really come into play. So we can start by customizing this applicant experience. For example, right now you see the GroupOne logo in the top left-hand side. We want to put your logo in there, and we need you to provide us your logo. So as you develop your parameters and the instructions I'm about to talk about, include your logo when we go ahead to help you customize this applicant experience. We can also customize that verbiage, the welcome message right there where it says, "Welcome, David Graves." We can put in any kind of instruction you feel is going to help speed up the process or help you get more pertinent information right there. And then this is an employment verification part of the applicant experience. And you see we did a little customization here. You'll see some red bold text. So we want to work with you, establish those policies internally. What do you really need to verify? So for example, if you're verifying for a brain surgeon position or what have you, you don't really need to verify this guy worked at Bob's Burgers in 1973 and worked there for 2 weeks and then he moved on to Safeway 3 weeks later, worked there for a month and what have you. So you really kind of need to define how this applicant portal works. And without these customizations, it's pretty bare in there. We can put in bold red text based on what your policies are. So again, as David said, establish some policies. This is an example, but we put in bold red text here. Enter who employed you. This is to the applicant, not just where you worked. Now, I've got to tell you, I broke this rule years ago when I applied for this very job. Applicants tend to be very proud of where they worked, not necessarily who they worked for. I worked at Microsoft for 4 years. I was very proud of that, so I put it right on my resume. I entered it in my background check. I didn't know any better. I was proud. I worked at Microsoft for 4 years, but actually I wasn't employed by Microsoft. I just worked at Microsoft. Can you imagine the background screening?
Wait a minute, Steve. You did not work at Microsoft? It was our understanding that you did work at Microsoft.
Don't discuss that with HR. I know I'm kidding, but yeah, it's a prime stumbling block for the background screening company. And when a background screening company comes up against a stumbling block like that, it does nothing but extend turnaround time on completing that background screening report for you, the client, and for your onboarding process. Now imagine, Steve Fischer told everybody, well, he worked for Microsoft for 4 years. The background screening researchers have been tracking this down for 3 years. For 3 weeks, they called every Microsoft office there was. You cannot find record that Steve Fischer worked at Microsoft. Finally, 2 or 3 weeks later, the researchers, they kind of know how to look for this, but they finally figured out Steve worked for a contracting company at the Microsoft building for 4 years. Okay? Well, don't call me out on that, David, but it's a classic thing we see in the background screening business. So again, this comes back to that policy. Make some notes here. Y'all come up with a good statement you want this applicant to see when they go in to give you their employment verification. There's another one right under it. Please enter 7 years of verifiable employment. Again, you don't need to go back to the 70s if you want to verify this guy's been doing brain surgery for 6 weeks or whatever, for 6 months. You don't need to go all the way back to the 70s and figure out he worked at a fruit stand and have us trying to track that down for 4 weeks. And so we can customize the applicant portal and make adjustments to your package. A lot of our clients have a package that includes 5 employment verifications, but there's no cap. We can cap that. We can work with you directly so that maybe you don't ever want more than 5, or maybe you want up to 20, but it gets expensive. If 5 are included in your package and you go over that 5, or you just leave this applicant portal wide open with no caps, then you're going to get your 5 employment verifications. But if that candidate is allowed to put in 20 employment verifications, now you're going to get 15 of them at the a la carte price of $10. And then, as all of us know, employment verifications now almost always have some kind of a pass-through fee with them. So the researchers are chasing down that verification. They finally figure out it's done through I2 Verify or Verify Employ or the really big elephant in the room, the work number. And that can be, as much as $62.91 for a pass-through fee. So you really want to have a policy in place. Let us help you shape that package and the way the applicant experience works so that you're not verifying unnecessary stuff. It's going to speed up turnaround time, and you're going to see your bills go down.
The other issue that we sometimes see with our clients is that you can have somebody that enters 18 or 20, but sometimes they don't enter enough information. So we can cap them if they're potentially going to go outside the package and put too much. But sometimes we have candidates that don't put any information in, or they NA inside the boxes, and really then leaves you with no information. So we can also require inside the system to where it requires at least 2 employment verifications, and won't let them go on without entering that information.
Yeah, and it's an excellent point. It's going to bring me to the biggest point here in just a moment. So the whole applicant experience is totally customizable. Our system is so flexible. We can do exactly what David just said. If we work with you directly, the client, you get a hold of us, y'all establish some policies. What instruction would you like your applicant to see? We can customize it any way you like. We can put package parameters in place so that you only have 2 rather than running 5, or you can cap it at only 4 or what have you. You kind of come up with exactly how you envision it working and what's going to be compliant and work the best for you, and we'll customize it. On this next shot, I know today's webinar is about employment verification, but this applicant experience you can use for almost any kind of verification. Like this is a shot of where an applicant would enter their school information, their education, and this client asked us to put in a big red bold text that says, please enter only highest degree achieved. Again, we can customize the package any way you want. We can leave it to where the applicant can add additional. Maybe only one's included in your package, one education verification, but it may be that they can add 4 or 5 more, and you're going to be getting those at the a la carte price. So special instructions around your policy, again, are going to help drive this.
Yeah, and I thought maybe for our clients wanting to kind of see what the applicant experience is, it is a good idea to maybe send yourself an applicant quick invite. Just put your first name, last name in there. You might put the word test behind it. Sometimes that helps our researchers know that this is not really a live background check you're wanting to run, but at least put it in, send yourself a quick invite, and then walk through put your thinking cap on and pretend as if you're the candidate and look and see, okay, yeah, maybe this would be a good place to put some special instruction in this section so that they can know exactly what your expectations are. So, and then if you need to, we can delete that. Don't commit it as an order, but at least just send yourself an invite, and then we can help you delete that.
Yeah, that is a great point, David. I'm glad you said that. We had talked about it prior to this webinar. That's just a great idea. So everybody on your dashboard, when you're in the GroupOne system, on your main home page, you'll see the applicant quick invite if you're not using it already. Send yourself an applicant quick invite, pick the package you want to see, and then go respond to it. Click on the link and see what the applicant actually is going to face when you send them a quick invite. And I would also take it a step further and print out or make screenshots of that applicant process so that when you go to define your policy and come up with some text to customize that portal, you've got a slate to play with. So I think that's a great idea. As well, it leads me to the biggest point that I really want to make in today's webinar, and that is when you launch a quick invite, or if you use a ATS through our applicant portal system, I highly recommend you send it out in what we call draft mode. So on your dashboard, when you see that quick invite, applicant quick invite, you'll notice it says process immediately, which is the default, and there's also a choice to save to draft for review. So again, the default is process immediately. So all you have to do if you're not using the quick invite already is just put in the candidate's first name, last name, and their email address, choose the package, and then send it to the applicant. If you leave it at the default selection of process immediately, then the applicant puts in 25 employments and only 2 of them are relevant. That background check is going to start processing immediately, and we're going to run all 25 of those employment verifications, and maybe only 2 are in your package. So now you've just ordered 23 at the a la carte price of $10 each, plus all the pass-through fees of those. So I highly recommend, probably the most important point I want to make today is set that to save to draft for review. Some of our largest clients use this. They have a department where they'll have 2 or 3 people that do nothing but have their GroupOne portal set to review after the candidate signs the consent, completes the applicant portal piece, they sign the consent, and then it goes into a queue and waits for the client to review it. Now the client looks at it, they look at the policy you've established, they look at the money savings, and they go, okay, we're removing 10 of these employment verifications. Here's 3 that meet our criteria. We'll go ahead and run those. They remove the other 10, and they commit the order.
And this
So it
really
leaves the
allows
client
them to
in
get
control.
what's relevant to the job position.
That's absolutely correct. So yeah, that's probably my strongest takeaway for you today is use the applicant process. Get the applicant involved in helping you, and as long as you customize that portal, set some parameters, you're going to save money, and you're certainly going to save turnaround time. And just imagine reviewing a background screening report that finally did get 25 employment verifications. It's going to read like a phone book. Now you got even more to think about, more decisions to make when only 3 jobs on it were even relevant. So yeah, highly suggest you get with GroupOne, establish your policies internally, come up with some good instruction points, send us a logo as well, but contact GroupOne, let us take a look at your package with you. We can discuss it and set these parameters in place for the applicant experience, put your logo in there for the applicant experience, and then start using this save to draft. That's going to save you money and time if you have a chance to review what the candidate is submitting.
Great. Thank you, Steve. And I think I'm being notified by our human resource department that they'd like to send you a new quick invite so that you could fill out your employment history a little more thoroughly and correctly for us. So,
yeah.
All right. Let's talk a little bit about money. Everybody likes to talk about money. And so know how to order efficiently to really save yourself money. And probably the first best tip that you can have when it comes to money is to know your budget ahead of time, but also know what the costs are from the background screening company. We talked about the pass-through fees, and pass-through fees basically are fees that GroupOne is charged from other third parties. Steve mentioned the work number. There are others, education, the student clearinghouse charges us pass-through fees. Some counties, when it comes to criminal, charges us fees, but we don't mark those fees up. We're not trying to gouge anybody with those fees. These are real fees that we are charged, and we're just trying to recoup those fees.
And David, that brings up a great point. Another part of customizing your account and making it work more efficiently and more cost-effective, and we have a lot of clients that do this, we can set a note to our researchers in the system. So we can set up some, what we call a fee threshold limit.
Okay.
And so, for example, we have clients that tell us, I don't want it verified if it goes to the work number. I do not want to be faced with the 6290.
We're getting more and more of that.
We're getting more and more of that. So we can put an account note in so that the researcher, that's the first thing they see. It's another, big note that says, do not verify the work number, or contact this client at this number or this person, email this person for fee approval that exceeds $15 or whatever. So they'll allow fees up to $20 or whatever they set that threshold at, and then the system will notify the researcher to contact whoever you'd like us to contact so that we can get your approval for a fee. Another way to help control costs.
Very good, Steve. And that really brought us to our other point, which was the next one. Setting up those parameters on your account to help you be able to manage your costs. For example, you just mentioned the work number, which is like that 6291, and it's just crazy high, but sometimes necessary. The only way to get an employment verification is to go through the work number. The work number is an Equifax company, and believe me, we're not happy about it at all, that they charge that fee. But sometimes it's necessary. It's the only way to get an employment verification. But going back to what you were talking about later, if it's going to mean getting a work number to verify, you're not going to need a McDonald's employment verification from 1972 that the work number may have, but you might need to know it from Medical City of Dallas because it's important and relevant to the position. And if it's the only way to get it, it may be, a price that you have to pay. But know ahead of time what your budget is. Set those parameters ahead of time. Work with GroupOne to set your fee approval thresholds, and that way we can help you manage your money. The other is package ordering, and I can't tell you how many times when I look at accounts, I'll help onboard a new client. We'll go through the whole training process. I'll show the client how to use their packages inside the system. and then I'll come and circle back a couple months later just to check in and see how things are working for them. And I'll notice that everything that they're ordering is a la carte. So they're ordering all their educations a la carte, they're ordering their employments all a la carte, even the county criminal. They're going through and trying to decide which in every county, instead of letting the system determine which counties they lived in over a period of 7 years. And by doing so, you can do that, of course, but it gets so very expensive for our clients because you're paying a la carte prices for each and every single item inside that order, whereas we try to give you discounted pricing by packaging it into a package.
Yeah, and if I could just add to that, we have some clients that maybe they established a package years ago, and it's a full background screening package F or what have you. It's a full package, has employment, has education, has licensure, has criminal, and what have you. But again, when you establish your policy and what you really need to run on candidates, kind of think about the positions you're hiring for. So if you're hiring for a volunteer or whatever, maybe you don't really need their job history. All you want to run is a quick criminal check on them. So contact GroupOne and let us add that kind of a package for you. So you don't have to run that full expensive package on certain sectors you're hiring for.
No, that's a great point. And yet you're right. We've had clients that have been with us for 20 or 30 years from the very beginning.
Yeah.
And they set certain packages up that worked at that time, but now things have changed, job positions have changed. Yeah, let us work with you and we can help tailor and customize a package that really works for you, for your needs. All right, the other part here was custom verbiage for your candidates inside the quick invite applicant portal invites. Steve really went into a very good description of that, but yeah, let us help you with that by putting some bold lettering inside the applicant invites for you. This will help prevent a lot of the NAing. That's not really a word, but not applicable. A lot of candidates will put a lot of NAs in there, or they'll skip, or they'll put just McDonald's history from 1972. But by you outlining in bold letters what your expectations are, it'll really help you to be able to save some money there. And then Steve went into a very good description talking about draft mode and using that, because yeah, it will, Steve. It will help them because they'll be able to look through all of the information that was entered and make sure that you're only allowing to be committed to the order only those job and employment verifications that are going to be relevant to the job that you're hiring for. So thank you for that. All right.
That's great information. You know, safety, in the long run, I've been with GroupOne, as David mentioned, about 15 years, and we had a very strong mission statement, basically to keep employees and your patrons safe. That's really what the mission was all about. It still is. So the better defined policies you have around this, around the background screening and what have you, the safer your workplace is going to be, the safer you're going to be, and the safer your employees and visitors will be.
Very good. And that does lead us into our next topic, talking about safety inside the workplace and some of the ways that you can make sure that your workplace is safe is by, first of all, knowing GroupOne does supply you. Your employment verifications are what we call primary source verifications. And what that means in a nutshell is that GroupOne does not accept a cell phone call, for example, from a candidate to verify employment with a former, in quotations, boss, right? So you might be really worried about them calling to find out about where Steve worked in the past. So Steve says, hey, call this number, and it's his pal that he's told him that, hey, be expecting a call from GroupOne or the company sometime soon. No, what GroupOne, yeah, exactly. What GroupOne does is we use primary source verifications, which means we go exactly to the source where we can verify and make sure that the information is accurate. So our researchers, they'll go directly to a human resource department for the company. They have many of these on file already that we've looked up over the years, and if they get a new one, they'll even do like a Google search or whatnot. They'll find the main line number for the company ask for the HR department, and where they will verify that employment. So it's primary source information, which you can rely on and count on to be accurate information. The other thing is past employment verifications really help you to mitigate the risk of hiring under false credentials or inaccurate work history. So, that's the main reason why you want to have a good verification of employment, is because you don't want to hire somebody under those type of false pretenses. And if you think about it kind of this way, you wouldn't want to be sitting in the seat of a jet airliner one day, all to find out, and while you're sitting in the seat, that pilot has never flown a jet airliner before. You wouldn't want to hire either an architect to construct a $100 million skyscraper for your company who's never worked for a reputable architecture firm in the past. It could cost you millions if your client complains that the building did not pass safety code, or even worse, the building collapses due to your negligence of not properly verifying the past of that architecture's work history. So there's many, many examples of that, but you want to verify employment. You want your employment verifications to be accurate, and you want to make sure that they're accurate so you can minimize your risk of hiring somebody under false pretenses, credentials, or inaccurate work information.
Yeah, that's very important. Great information.
Well, Steve, this brings us to the end of today's presentation. We do hope that it's been helpful to our audience. If you have any questions, we would like to go ahead and take those questions from you now. Chris is running the boards right here. Chris, do we have any questions
We have quite a few. I'm really impressed by all the questions we have at the moment. The first one is, why can't you use a W-2 or check stub to verify employment?
That's a great question. I wish we had Danny Davila here. He's our compliance director to answer that question. But we do want to always use, like we said, primary source information. So our researchers, like I said earlier, they will always go to the actual source to verify. In today's world where people can reprint things, they can reprint a check stub or a W-2. We don't necessarily want to count on or accept a payroll stub. We would want to go to that primary source for that information. It's a good question.
Hey, here's another one. Is there a way we can eliminate the work number charges altogether?
Yeah, that's another great question. And we can put a note on your particular account to where if we run into the work number specifically as a third-party charge, yes, we can block it on your account so that that work number won't be charged to your account. We can also set those thresholds like we talked about earlier. We can put a note on your account that $15, $25, $30, whatever your threshold is, that any third-party fee that comes through that exceeds that would require an approval on your part, and we'll contact you at the numbers that you provided for that.
Hey, here's another one. Do you use the phone number and email address provided in the system to contact the employer? Why does it take so long?
What was the question again? Do you use the phone number and email addresses provided in the system?
Right. So quite often a candidate, especially in the applicant experience, they will provide, obviously, the name and any contact info they have for the employer. So in my example, I worked at Microsoft, what have you. I probably provided a phone number and some kind of contact information. So we will try to use the contact info that the employee gave us. And if we can't get a hold of the primary source by calling or contacting that person they provided, we may have to go down other channels. For example, starting at Google, where is this place now? Are they still in business? What is some good contact information? So that can take a little longer. Sometimes we get accurate information from the candidate, other times we do not. Or it's been such a long span of time, again, this goes back to your policies and how much do you really need to verify. I mean, if the guy's putting in contact information for an organization that he worked at in the 70s, we're probably not going to get a hold of them through their contact info. We're going to have to do some research and figure out who to contact to get that verification.
Hey, we got a question here from Tara. She says, great information. What is the average turnaround time for completing a verification, and how will I be able to access the results?
That is a great question, and I'll take that one. Yeah, it all depends. Verifications of employment probably are the thing that probably takes the longest to verify. And the reason that it does is because we're relying on human HR, human resource personnel. And I was 20 some odd years as an HR generalist, and I never appreciated when somebody was calling to verify employment. I had other employee issues that were going on at the time, so I had employee issues. I was running payroll, and sometimes verifying employment for a mortgage company or a previous employee or a current employer trying to hire a previous employee of mine, unfortunately, was not always my highest priority. And here now I work at a background screening company, and I'm kind of paying the price now for that, not providing that information as timely. And we run into the same things. Now, we do and can set parameters on your account. As a default, typically our researchers will make 4 good faith attempts at trying to verify employment. They'll make a phone call, they'll send emails, they'll try to reach out to that primary source, but if they're leaving messages and messages are not returned, potentially it could end up that we're not able or unable to verify due to no response from that HR department. Like I said, we can put parameters on your account, so if you want us to continue to make even more attempts after the 4, we can certainly do that or make less.
Hey, here's a question from Michael. We noticed that employment verifications are taking longer than they used to. Is there a way to speed them up, speed up the completion of these verifications?
Exactly the point and why we put together today's presentation. And really, this kind of addresses the last question as well. Yes, we've all noticed that it's taking longer and longer to complete employment verifications, but it's because of systems and a lack of parameters on both sides. So if you'll follow the advice that we've put together and recommended here, we can really speed up your turnaround time for all the reasons we stated today. But the industry as a whole, they're trying to make systems more automated, which leaves things a little looser. David just brought up the point of the 4 good attempts and close it out. Sometimes that is the way it goes. But I like the question because it's exactly what brought up this topic for today's discussion. Some of these questions, Chris, that I'm seeing, really we need to present to our compliance officer and let him review and help answer them. So is there a way to maybe post the questions and answers at the end of the recorded presentation we're going to put out?
I'll look into that. Maybe there is, yeah.
Okay.
Okay, here's a question here from Susan that she says, have you all noticed that there are more employment verifications to verify on order due to COVID-19, where employees may have worked multiple places due to layoffs and temp work as well?
Yeah, we especially saw a lot more of that, especially after COVID, where a lot of the workforce either had to change positions or maybe there were layoffs during after COVID. And we do see that to where people were working multiple jobs or having to work many more jobs in a short amount of time. And so that increases the amount of employment verifications potentially somebody might have to do for an order. So more to the point of the reason for today's presentation, to really help guide and help our clients to be able to order or at least order the employment verifications that are relevant to the positions. For example, if you had somebody that was being hired as a nurse and had a lot of experience at Medical City Hospital of Dallas, but yet they were also working a second job, as many people have to do in today's economy, at Walmart, well, you may not need to run the employment verification on that Walmart, But you definitely need to know about the experience at Medical City because that's relevant healthcare experience.
Right.
And so more and more I see where employers are having to really be smart about what employment verifications they order.
And these are great questions, and they all kind of point right back to the same thing. If you'll use that draft mode, you'll have a chance to review. You as the client will have a chance to review how many are being ordered, how relevant are they to the job position, and by reducing those and getting rid of the unnecessary ones, you're going to save time, turnaround time, and money. So
Absolutely.
it all kind of ties back to the same.
We have a question here from Lisa. She asked, if you have to make an update on a background as to add another search, are we able to do that ourselves or do we have to contact you?
Is to add another search. So I'm assuming what they mean to add another employment verification to a current order can be easily done to hit add to order inside the GroupOne system. So if that's what she means by the question, yes, very easily to just add to an order.
Okay, yeah, she's saying yes, that's what she's asking. Also, Lisa's asking, can you replicate an order if you need another in the future, saving time of not entering the information again?
Steve, you might have to answer that one.
Yeah, so I think there's multiple ways to skin that cat. So if you open an order that's already been completed, I'm not sure you would really want to verify the employment or the education or the licensure again, but you'll have options on the right side menu. When you click on the order, open the order in our system, you're going to see options on the right, rerun the criminal components for this check, or add to the order. You could add that package all over again. You get a package selector when you choose add to the order. You have multiple options for rerunning without entering any of the subject information again. Definitely.
Very good. Do we have any other questions, or we might have time for one more?
Well, I have one here. It's this is from Mark. He's asking, I was employed by Parkland from February 28, 1998 through March of 2012. Would you be able to verify my employment?
Well, we wouldn't be able to verify your employment directly. Employment would have to be verified through a commercial organization. Typically, GroupOne, works with a client hospital or whatnot, that if you're a candidate applying for employment at Parkland could verify your employment. I don't know if I'm understanding the question all the way.
They may use a third service or a third-party service like GroupOne, where this previous Parkland employee could go pull the information herself.
Okay. And that would be in our Web Verify product?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
You can go to GP1.com.
Which is a totally different animal. Yeah.
It's a different animal, but interesting question.
Very good question.
Okay, we got one last question here, and this is from Roger. How do we get our logo installed into the applicant invites?
Okay, great question. And we did cover that a little earlier. Maybe Roger was a little late. But again, establish these internal policies, sit down and talk about it internally. How can you help the process? How can you speed up the background screening turnaround time? How can you lower your cost? As you establish those policies, and then you reach out to GroupOne, whether it be David or myself, let us set up a little meeting with you, discuss what you've come up with, your portal instructions that are going to help the applicant experience be clear. Provide us your logo. Just send us your logo in an email and tell us, I want this installed facing the applicant when they go to the applicant portal. So it's very easy to do. Just send us the logo and we'll do it for you.
Very good, and thank you everybody for listening and participating in today's webinar, and thank you so much for the questions. Very good questions from everyone today. I also wanted to make sure that I think our contact information, yep, there it is up there on the board for you. If you do need to do some customization, if there's anything that we can do to help you make your life easier when it comes to employment verifications, please reach out to us. Our phone numbers are there and our email address up there on the screen. But other than that, thank you so much for coming in and participating today in today's presentation. We look forward to the upcoming presentations. I think we'll have some more on the schedule early next year.
Absolutely.
Hey, Chris, did you want to say anything about this same webinar being available?
Yeah, we've recorded this webinar today, and we're going to post it online tomorrow, and we will send a link to everyone who is registered and promote it on our website. Okay, thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, David and Steve.
Thank you.